everyone, my name is Andrew Toy, a film critic for Filmbook. Today I will be reviewing Kong Skull Island as part of the Hollow Earth retrospective, which will all culminate in last weekend's release of Godzilla vs. Kong. Kong Skull Island is directed by Jordan Vogt-Roberts, written by Dan Gilroy, and stars Tom Hiddleston, Samuel L. Jackson, and John Goodman, amongst many others. I like the way this opens up. It kind of takes me back to an old 90s action flick, something like Twister, Dragonheart. I know those aren't very popular movies. I like those. Those stand out to me, but it's the whole, the title screen flying towards you. I don't know if this was filmed in 3D or if this had a 3D release back in 2017. It must have. I'm sure it did. But I always liked when title sequences do that sort of thing. It's just kind of cheesy, kind of hokey, and it sets you up for the rest of the movie because this is sort of a cheesy, hokey movie. It opens up with somewhere over the South Pacific in 1944, and you have a Japanese fighter pilot, you have an American fighter pilot. They're battling it out after they both crash. And what comes to stop them? Kong's giant hands, his hands as big as this room. So we are to know that this is the biggest King Kong we have ever seen on screen thus far. That's all we see for now. But don't worry, it's not Peter Jackson. We're not going to have to wait very long to see more of him. It's now 1973, and the demonstrations are taking place outside of the White House, protesting Vietnam. And John Goodman has a really good line. And it's really good to see John Goodman. It always is. I cannot think of a movie where it was not a pure joy to see him. No matter how bad the movie, he's one of those actors who will take a really bad movie and he's like the only good thing in it. You know what I mean? But in this semi-opening sequence, he says, "There will never be another screwed up time in Washington." This movie was filmed 4 years prior to the Capitol riots. Awkward. But John Goodman, he is a monster hunter who he wants to go to Skull Island before the Americans are pulled out of the Vietnam War. So the setting and everything is all working to this film's advantage. I think it's great how they put it up against the backdrop of this major historical event. I think that adds a little bit of substance and makes it more fun. And John Goodman's given another good line. He says, "Skull Island, a land where God did not finish creation." I was about to do my double chin for that impression, but then I remembered he's lost a ton of weight. I think he and Jonah Hill must work out at the same gym together. So we get a bunch of talking with the blah, 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 all that stuff. Okay, but then 25 minutes in, eat it, Peter Jackson, eat it. No, I'm kidding. I love the 2005 King Kong. I love it. I love that it's like an hour of just talk, but it's like kind of like fun Jack Black, like he's kind of being humorous. An hour on Skull Island, and then the last hour, it's just cut up into 3 very, very distinct acts. The last hour, of course, being in New York City. And I will never, ever say anything bad about Peter Jackson's take on King Kong. I love that movie. But anyway, we're going back to this one, Kong Skull Island, 25 minutes in, and we can't wait any longer than that as the Tinder hookup society that we are. And we see the Vietnam choppers flying into this wall. This wall, it's like a storm, but it's the wall, and that's the wall, if you didn't pick up on it, that is, I think, is to represent the wall in the original, all the other King Kongs. Where you find the natives, you got to scale the wall, they sacrifice Andaro, and then there's King Kong on the other side of the wall. Same thing with this storm. They've got to go through this wall. And normally I hate slow motion. Most of the time I'm just like, move on with it. Like John Woo in the 90s, he did tons of slow motion. His 2.5 hour movies easily could have cut back by an hour because he was so fascinated with slow motion. But the slow motion is handled well here, I have to say. With the bird's eye view of the helicopters, and the blades are just you could see that they're just barely moving. I think that's really cool and effective. It's unlike Snyder's DC, where I hate that slow motion as well. Those are just oil paintings, I feel like, that are just coming off of a glossy and filmy backdrop. I never liked seeing, Batman super slow. Not my style, not my take. I came to see a movie, not a still, slowly moving. I did not come to see a still painting slowly moving. I came to see a movie. But I liked how this movie handled the slow motion effects very effectively. And then you got the best scene of the movie. And it happens pretty quick. King Kong grabbing the chopper from outside. And the point of view, unlike the New York scene, we actually see the point of view of from inside the biplane, if you will. And it's a great scene. He's grabbing the chopper, he's spinning it around, and we see outside the what's going on outside from inside, from the passengers and the pilot's point of view. The world is just spinning. You can see glimpses of Kong as it's spinning around. I love this scene. This is fun. This is imaginative. Something that doesn't get put into movies often anymore, right? And to make it even better, after this whole sequence, I love how we get to see a fully CGI King Kong through the lens of an old-timey video camera footage. Very cool effect. I'm a fan. I like it. Speaking of combining stuff, we've got Vietnam era technology. We've got the South Pacific palm trees flying through the air. We got King Kong, as cool as we've ever seen him, quite possibly rivaled only by, again, I'm going to go back, Peter Jackson's 2005 King Kong. And we've also got half the Marvel cast. We've got Nick Fury, we've got Captain Marvel, Loki, and John C. Reilly, if you remember Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. He's also from Step Brothers. And the body count in this movie is high. They don't show the death. I would have appreciated an R-rated King Kong. That would have been kind of cool. But the body count is still rather high. Nothing I despise more than a great epic battle or a monster movie where nobody dies, everybody survives. That's just not fun. That's not fun. That would only be fun in real life if some catastrophe happened and then nobody died. That I would applaud, but not in a movie. Come on, show me some death. Show me some blood. And I love anytime we get John Goodman and Samuel L. Jackson together. It's like John Goodman bringing the Coen brothers and Samuel L. Jackson bringing Quentin Tarantino, and they're just going head to head. By the time we get to the natives, I'd forgotten about the opening with the fighter pilots where they're battling it out. The American pilot grew up to be John C. Reilly. I didn't know. I don't know if I got too invested in his story. Really, I'm here to sing King Kong, so there's really no stories for me to get invested in. Speaking of being unable to invest, what's Brie Larson doing there? She's just a social justice warrior bringing her political agenda. I don't get it. She's not a war photographer. She's an anti-war photographer. What does that mean? Apparently, when she was cast, she came with a list of demands. One of the demands being that she not have a love relationship with any of the actors or with King Kong. So she clearly did not want to play the Ann Darrow part. So I just got to ask, what's she doing there? No idea. I could have done without her, quite honestly. Brie Larson, I'm not really a fan of her, but I do not think I've really enjoyed her in any movie that I've seen. Captain Marvel bored me. I watched The Room, but she had no impact on me. Brie Larson, I don't know. Nobody I really was interested in enough to follow. She touched King Kong's face. She touched a green screen. That's what she was there for. But anyway, back to the movie. We got King Kong. We have this, needless scene where he's fighting the octopus. I say needless, but I did not say unentertaining. It is an entertaining scene. It's fun. It's kind of a callback to when he was fighting the snake in the 1933 version. That was a fun scene, and so that was kind of a bringing back of that old moment. And that really just keeps in tone with the playful gorilla. We haven't really had a chance to see the playful Kong that we've all grown to know and love, and this was kind of that showcase of that playfulness that we have to see in a Kong movie. The scene that I would say that rivals the helicopter scene where he's spinning it would be the Skull Crusher scene. That was a great scene. I'm not going to say that was a great fight, but I love the atmosphere, the fog. There was a little bit of tension, not much. I'll get to that in a minute. I love the design of the creature. That was a fun scene. I just got to say the fight scene was lacking. I feel like the imagination got sucked out of that. It was just standard whatever, but it was still pure eye candy, so I'll give you that. Something I think that hurt this film would be that it was an all-star cast. That, I don't think that should have been the case. I think they should have gone the Cloverfield route, where they just took a bunch of unknowns. That would have been, I think that would have been a much more effective way of telling the story, because that just shifts our focus directly on Kong where it should be. Instead, I feel like we had, these high-paid actors just sharing the stage. I mean, let's be honest here. Nobody's coming to see Kong or Godzilla or any of these monsters to see Samuel L. Jackson or John Goodman, Tom Hiddleston, certainly not Brie Larson. No matter how good the actor is, we're coming to see the monsters. And so just populating it with a big cast, all-star cast, just doesn't make too much sense. I feel like as good as the effects were, more money could have been spent into the effects. But then again, that can often backfire as well. And we come to this movie to see Kong, and unlike Godzilla 2014, we do see a lot of Kong, so I can't complain too much. Where I will complain is that this movie sufficiently lacks scares. It not only lacks scares, it lacks anticipation, it lacks suspense, tension, and that's just, I feel like that's a lost art in movies nowadays. If you go back to the 80s, Predator, Alien, all the Alien movies, I can name a bunch, where the success of those films depended solely on the scare factor alone, even a little bit of gross out factor in some cases. Jurassic Park is another great example. I often cite the T-Rex scene as one of the scariest scenes in cinematic history. Not because I'm afraid of T-Rexes or dinosaurs, anything like that. It's just fused with tension. And that, in and of itself, is what I feel like can make a movie go from good to unforgettable. The final fight scene, it's exciting enough. It checks off the boxes, the atmosphere, the environment, the effects, all top notch, very good looking. Again, I love the design of the monsters. I love the special effects. It's passable, but nothing I haven't seen before. But I do feel like it suffers because it lacks the emotional and anticipation impact that the previous hour and a half of the movie should have had. As we close out, John C. Reilly reunites with his family, which is sweet. I kind of forget about him throughout. And the end credits scene shows Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston being shown footage of other monsters. Just letting them know that there is an underworld of monsters that exist on this planet. And seeing that this is set in the 70s, I don't expect Brie Larson, Tom Hiddleston, any of these characters to come back in the upcoming Godzilla vs. Kong. But we'll see. Overall, it's a fine movie. Not one that's going to go down as one of the greatest monster movies ever made. I don't think it even compares to Peter Jackson's King Kong. It's fine, though. It's fun, and it is a good time. But it lacks the substance that I've seen in other horror and monster films, and I think that hurts. It does deliver on great special effects, some lighthearted humor, some great action scenes. So overall, I give Kong Skull Island a 6 out of 10. And that brings us to the conclusion of my review for Kong Skull Island in this retrospective. I'd like to thank you for watching. You can find more of my work on Filmbook. That's film-book.com. Just type in Andrew Toy. You can also find more of my video reviews on YouTube. Just type in my name or Should You Watch It, and you'll find that link in the description below. If you liked what you heard during my review, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell icon so you can instantly be notified when there are new reviews published. If you agree or disagree with this review, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Please also consider becoming one of our patrons on Patreon. The link for that is in the description below. Your support helps us create more engaging content. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time as we discuss Godzilla, King of the Monsters.